We all need an E3 debrief, a D3 brief. Thank you. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, June 18th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, hopefully I can keep it brief, but there's quite a lot to get through. Lots of E3 this week, so starting last Saturday and running through the middle of the week and up to even today, we had E3 conferences from Ubisoft and Gearbox, Devolver, Bethesda, and all sorts of other publishers, just announcing everything to their heart's content. So I'm going to run through a lot of the big ones, but there's definitely some of the shows that I won't talk to. That didn't mean I didn't watch them. I'm just not going to talk about them. So jumping right in, Ubisoft started us off on Saturday. Again, I'm not going to be doing a full rundown of like all 30 or 40 titles at each E3 conference, but I'm going to run through kind of the ones that caught my eye, the ones that I'm most interested in. But if there's any I skipped over that you're very interested in and passionate about, feel free to leave a comment down below. They started off really strong with with Rainbow Six Extraction, recently renamed from Rainbow Six Quarantine because people are tired of seeing the word quarantine. So it's a 1 to 3 player game. I thought the 1 to 3 was kind of unique. I think Rainbow Six Siege is like a 5-player game. Most of like the co-op zombie shooters are 4-player games. So the fact that they're 1 to 3 seemed pretty interesting to me. It'll have cross-play. They showed off what the enemy's going to be like. There's going to be a lot of mechanics around like if you go in and the player or the character you're playing as, the operative, I think is the word they use. The operative, I don't play Rainbow Six Siege as you can tell. The operative will get captured if you like fail a mission, and then you have to go in and extract that operative to get their progress and their that character back again to be able to play them again. I'm kind of curious if all your operatives are extracted or are captured, what happens then, but that's just kind of where my mind goes when I hear about the risk reward kind of gameplay. It sounds really cool. It even has some of like the safety zones and checkpoints in between levels, very Left 4 Dead like. I think this one will be a little bit more. I'm wondering if it'll probably be a first person shooter, but I'm wondering if it'll be kind of more tactical. Like Rainbow Six Siege is very tactical, so I'm wondering if it'll lean more tactical Battlefield Call of Duty shooter as opposed to kind of the other kind of Left 4 Dead or Vermintide or any of those kind of like a little bit more cartoony and a little bit more kind of use your powers and go. So it'd be interesting to kind of see what comes from that. Ubisoft also had Rocksmith Plus, a guitar playing subscription game. That'll be sounds like it'll be very community driven. I don't have any musical talent whatsoever. So this kind of caught my eye as like potentially a way to learn to play the guitar. It's like an app you play on your phone, and you can actually play through, and it'll kind of get you in tune with how you're supposed to be playing and hitting the right notes. Yeah, I'm really curious as to how this gets executed. It looks very interesting. I'm really curious as to how it gets executed, what the gameplay would be like, if people will actually be learning to play the game. I know that like I remember back in the day, Guitar Hero was always criticized because it was like the people who are good at playing guitar are actually worse at Guitar Hero, and like the two skills, rather than being a good union, were like ancillary to each other. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what Rocksmith, how this kind of rolls out, and it sounds like the community will be able to control like what songs are on there, so you'll be able to probably get any song you want and learn how to play it. So hopefully what they're promising is what we'll see when the game launches. Game/app launches. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is getting a year 2 DLC. It's all free. They're also adding the Discovery mode, or the Discovery Tour mode, which allows people to just kind of explore the worlds. It sounds like every Assassin's Creed game from Origins has had this. So I do expect to see that in the future for other Assassin's Creed titles. It was exciting to hear that there's free DLC coming for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so interested to see about that. Werewolf Within is actually a murder mystery movie that has already launched. It came out this week, or is coming out. I think it comes out. It either came out this week or it comes out next week. I got conflicting dates when I was researching this, but you know, a murder mystery suspense thriller movie would be right up my alley. I don't know the Werewolf Within kind of base IP. I haven't interacted with that before, but I'm down for a murder mystery with werewolves. So I'd be pretty interested to kind of see. It'll actually probably feel a lot like one of my favorite board games of all time, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, where trying to figure out who the werewolf is. So it should be fun on that front as well. And it was good to kind of see movies as part of this, as part of kind of all of this as well. Far Cry 6 just kind of talked about its season pass. The biggest thing for its season pass was the kind of Be the Villain campaign, where you're actually able to play as Voss and Pagan and Joseph from Far Cry 3, 4, and 5. You'll be able to play as the villains. I wonder if you'll actually be able to play as Anton, Giancarlo Esposito's character. Yeah, I'm curious as to, I think it's a good way to like reinvigorate kind of the old IP. But I'm wondering, I think people will also want like, expansions and different characters and like more to play once they're done with Far Cry 6. So I don't think there was too much appealing about that as well. Right before it was shown on screen, I had the thought to myself of like, it's been 3 or 4 years since Mario, or it's been about 3 years since Mario plus Rabbids. I wonder if the sequel is going to come out. I wonder if this is going to happen. And there it was. Right then, we got Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope coming out in 2022. And I'm very excited for this title. I love the crap out of Mario plus Rabbids. It's not as turn-based tactical as like an XCOM game, but it's a little more floaty and more fun, a little bit more approachable. So I was excited to see that, and I'm excited to play more Mario plus Rabbids. Finally, they had Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the James Cameron movie, converted into a game. I think we've known that this is being worked on for quite some time, and it is also coming out in 2022. So you'll see that as a common pattern throughout all of the E3 stuff that I'm talking about. Is a lot of games and titles are coming out in 2022. That was it for, or at least those are the things that caught my eye for Ubisoft. Again, if there's anything I missed or skimmed over that you want to talk about more, leave a comment down below. Gearbox was also that same day. They had a half an hour long conference, and I think Randy Pitchford was really kind of stretching his half an hour. It definitely felt like they were trying to stretch out the time. We'd already seen Tiny Tina's Wonderland before, so we had already seen that, so there wasn't too much else to talk about other than what we'd already seen at Summer Game Fest. They talked to, he spent a long time up front talking. He was on the stage, at a production of Borderlands the movie. Talked to Kevin Hart, talked to a bunch of writers and actors. That felt like buying time. There wasn't like too much. There was just behind the scenes kind of conversations. It was really fun. They also did they really screwed this one up. Homeworld 3, I think, is an RTS game. I never played any of the original Homeworld games, but in between each kind of segment, they had like 2 minutes of like, hey, Homeworld 3, it's coming back. And it was like conversations with like 2 or 3 different people, like the creative people behind it. And it was just, I thought it was a poor choice of how they kind of structured it. And they also had Godfall is coming to PS4. Godfall didn't do too well coming out the gate. So I think that because it was limited to, the consoles that, haven't been sold yet, but now that it's being brought back to the old gens, you'll have cross-gen, you'll be able to play with a larger install base, and hopefully you'll be able to get the kind of community that they're looking for, but potentially the ship has sailed on that one, so I'm not looking for too much, not too hopeful on what Godfall on PS4 kind of drives. Gearbox, again, like I said, probably really stretching its half an hour limit with kind of the content that was shown there. Devolver had their Devolver Max Pass Plus, I think they were definitely like taking jabs at, like they do every year. They were taking jabs at all of the big game companies. They were definitely making fun of like HBO Max and all the subscription services. It was hilarious. But there was some pretty cool games. They started out talking about, or at least showing gameplay for Shadow Warrior 3, which definitely looked like Doom in all of the right ways. And you know, I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say it looks like Doom because they're both coming out in kind of the same time. You know, Shadow Warrior was originally coming out around the same time that Doom came out too. So, but the Shadow Warrior 3 definitely looked cool. Definitely had that like frenetic, crazy first-person shooter vibe that you were looking for. So I think Doom fans will definitely be looking forward to this. So looking forward to playing that. Phantom Abyss also caught my eye. It's like a dungeon. It's like a first-person dungeon runner where you're just like running through a dungeon. But you have like holographic kind of ghostly images of previous people who have failed a previous run through the dungeon. So I thought it was really interesting. They have like Tomb Raider traps and all that kind of stuff. So you're running through a tomb, and but you'll be following someone. And I thought this was a really cool idea because, like, you know that the person you're following has not succeeded at the run, so it's like, do I want to follow them? However, you can see them making the right paths and see them continuing to go. So I think it makes for a cool idea, and a first-person kind of runner I think could be really fun. So I'm looking forward to that one. They also had Wizard with a Gun, which had like a cool kind of like Western, you know, like heavy metal kind of, you know, deep metal soundtrack to it. And the game looks cool too. I mean, Wizard with a Gun is a great name for a game. And it had I think it's a multiplayer survival game. So it looked kind of like, it had kind of an aesthetic like Don't Starve with like the kind of Western steampunky with magic kind of feel that you expect from a game titled Wizard with a Gun. So those are the games I was looking for Devolver. I enjoyed the crap out of the show. I always like them kind of making fun of stuff. They also talked about NFTs, and they talked about selling suits and stuff like that. Those were actually for sale. I thought that was really interesting. And the tape that they were selling actually sold for $1,000. So it was kind of interesting. I actually wonder what I would look like in a purple suit. But I wasn't one of the 2 people that bought it, so I'll have to, better luck next year. Next, we move on to Xbox and Bethesda, who are on Sunday. Sunday was kind of the big day. There was a lot to cover. They had like 90-minute showcase. It started off really strong with Starfield. It showed us in-engine gameplay, and so we'll know kind of the engine is up and running. I hope it's not built on the same engine as the Fallout 76, because that engine definitely needs to be updated. They did confirm that it's going to be an Xbox exclusive, and you know, in post interviews they talk about it being kind of Skyrim in space, but it'll have deeper RPG mechanics. So I'm kind of wondering what that kind of means. I know that some people criticize Skyrim for being a little bit RPG light. You know, Fallout's pretty good, pretty hardy RPG, but I'm wondering what the next iteration of like a Bethesda RPG is like. And they also confirmed again, November 11th, 2022. So quite a ways away. We're 18 months away from that. So definitely got a long time to wait, but at least they started off strong. Also, interestingly, they had Sea of Thieves with a crossover with Pirates of the Caribbean. I was actually kind of surprised by this. With Disney, kind of a big partnership with Disney to put Jack Sparrow into the game. This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of crossover that people dream about. So it was really cool to kind of see it come to life. I've yet to play Sea of Thieves, but with this kind of stuff coming out in the next week or so, I think it actually comes out. I'm pretty excited to see what this kind of crossover event is, how much story and plot is involved. Hopefully it's not just like a 2-hour Destiny campaign and then you're done. Hopefully it's like a big old event and you get the Kraken popping up and Davy Jones and all that kind of stuff. And they showed that. So new enemy types. So I think this is actually adding a pretty robust expansion onto Sea of Thieves. And again, bringing that kind of games as a service, keeping the live service alive. So very excited for that. Psychonauts 2 got a lot of gameplay. People have been anticipating this game for quite some time because it's been like a decade since Psychonauts 1. So I was surprised by the launch date. It comes out August 25th. So people are definitely looking forward to those. I didn't play the original Psychonauts game. I know I'll return my gamer card at my local post office, but I didn't play the original one. But the kind of gameplay that was shown, the kind of psychological angle of it, definitely kind of barking up my tree. So I'm looking forward to seeing more on Psychonauts. And not a lot of stuff coming out in August, so hopefully I can pick it up. They had the sequel for Plague Tale. I was actually really surprised by this. I thought Plague Tale Innocence was kind of a one and done. I think a lot of people picked it up when it was free on Game Pass, so there wasn't a lot of money necessarily behind it. But Plague Tale Requiem is coming out in 2022, so I'm kind of looking forward to playing as, I think, Amelia, and going to catch up with your brother Henri. I think there was a cliffhanger where you were kind of separated at the end of Plague Tale, but I'll have to refresh myself on that. I have my full playthrough for that, so I'll actually link that down below. I'm excited for Plague Tale Requiem. I really like that game. I really liked Innocence, so hopefully we get more Plague Tale in next year. Outer Wilds 2 had probably the best trailer of all the trailers I saw this week. They were just picking apart every kind of typical thing that you see in every trailer. It was like, hey, you've got music building up, and it's coming to a crescendo, and that means that something epic is about to happen. And here you get a backside shot of the hero standing over an open field, and that means that the developer hasn't really locked in the art for the character yet, so that's why they're showing it from behind. It was really funny. It was picking apart like the general trailer. And the trailer just kind of said the game's coming, the game's being worked on. So again, I was kind of surprised by this one. I know that the DLC has been helping with sales, but again, I know that Outer Wilds 2, a lot of people were or Outer Wilds 1, a lot of people were playing that on Game Pass. So it'll be exciting to see. So I'm glad that it sold well enough to keep the developers Obsidian to keep going, and I'm very much looking forward to Outer Wilds 2. I'm not typically a racer gamer. I don't think anybody has seen me play a racer game on my Twitch channel, but the amount of time and detail that was spent on Forza Horizon 5 and how beautiful the game looked actually caught my eye. I thought the game looked really good. The community features of how you can just kind of meet up with people online and then jump into kind of an event together seemed really cool. Again, I've never played any of the Forza Horizon games, but just how beautiful Mexico looked, which is where the game is set. I was really kind of blown away by it. So very much I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that I'll pick it up, but I was interested. It did pique my interest, and it's coming this year. So coming on November 9th of this year. So for those Forza Horizon racing fans, you can pick it up this year. So not a lot of games on this list can be picked up this year. So looking forward to that. They also talked about, they kind of ended on Redfall, which is a new game. Redfall is a multiplayer survival game where you are playing a bunch of vampire hunters and you're just trying to survive kind of the onslaught of vampires. It was really weird. I thought this was, again, like a cooperative kind of linear Left 4 Dead style game. And this one, and then when they kind of said like it's an open world survival game, I was like, it kind of got me thinking of like, okay, so what is this game actually? We didn't see any gameplay, so I just, all the speculation engine just kind of thought, hey, you get to play as one of 4 heroes and you're playing like a Left 4 Dead style game and killing vampires. But the open world survival aspect definitely intrigued me, so I'm wondering a little bit more about that. Also, anytime you've got shooters and vampires, I am totally down. We did not get, we got Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was obviously there, but we didn't get a confirmed date. They still are saying holiday 21. So I still don't know when that's going to be. There's only so many weeks that it can be. I'm thinking if they're not willing to announce yet, then I don't know if this is going to be like a, you know, Cyberpunk-esque December kind of release. I know they probably want to release the game this year just for financial reasons, and definitely in the holiday period to get all those holiday sales. So I know that they're going to be trying to push it out, but the fact that they didn't confirm a date, you know, we can speculate for a long time on why they didn't. But I'm thinking a little bit late November. I know that Halo 5 was launched in October. But I feel like they would announce an October date. Now that we're at the end of June, they would announce an October date. They gotta, definitely retailers have to know. So I'm really surprised that there wasn't a confirmed date for Halo Infinite, but they showed gameplay, multiplayer, all going to be there on day one, and it's going to be on Game Pass. So that's probably how I'll be playing it. Looking forward to playing Halo Infinite later this year. Last but not least, I had to laugh and chuckle when they announced the Xbox mini fridge. I think people have been waiting for this for quite some time, so to include that in their showcase was a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to the mini fridge. I've always wanted a mini fridge, and so hopefully I can get an Xbox mini fridge also this holiday season. Then we had Square Enix. Square Enix was a little bit shorter of a showcase. You know, not as long as the 90-minute Bethesda showcase. There's about three big titles that kind of took away from. They started off strong with Guardians of the Galaxy, a new Guardians of the Galaxy game launching this year. Again, another title this year, so keep track of that. Launching October 26th. I thought it was interesting that the game is taking the kind of first-person approach or the single-player approach. So you're going to be it's a single-player game where you're playing as the Guardian, where you're playing as Star-Lord, a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the characters looked right. I think the gameplay looked really fun, but you're only playing as Star-Lord, which is pretty weird as a juxtaposition between that and like Marvel's Avengers, where you can play as any of the Avengers. The Guardians of the Galaxy have a lot of character. Each of the characters has a bunch of powers within your own right, within their, you know, really cool powers within their own rights. But you'll kind of give them commands. I assume you'll have like duel up move or like team up moves and all that kind of stuff. So I think it'd be pretty interesting. They spent a good 10-15 minutes talking about that. So this was kind of their big showcase right at the beginning. And I think the game looks interesting, and I'm excited to play it potentially later this year. But I have seen a couple of the people talking about it, and the fact that you can't play as one of the other characters is kind of a downside. But you know, I would want to play Peter Quill in a Guardians of the Galaxy multiplayer game anyway. And I can imagine some kind of crossover. You know, the fact that there is this and Marvel's Avengers kind of out there at the same time I would think that you would be able to cross over, but what do I know? Also, I was interested in Life is Strange. First, they had the Life is Strange and Before the Storm remaster. So coming to current gen consoles, being remastered. You know, so everything's being polished up for this 6 or 7 year old game. So looking forward to seeing kind of how good Life is Strange looks on current gen consoles. They also showed off a little bit of gameplay of Life is Strange True Colors as well. And I'm very much looking forward to playing that in September. So those were kind of the games. They also had Trials of Mana, which is coming out. They had, I think, a remaster of Final Fantasy 2 through 6, and then they ended on some other Final Fantasy game. Like I've said before, I'm not the biggest Final Fantasy fan, so those kind of were under the bridge for me. But so that's what Square had that I was interested in. Let me know if you disagree down below. Nintendo, arguably the winner of E3, had a lot of stuff to talk about, and a lot of stuff. What did Nintendo start off on? I don't quite remember, but the first big thing that caught my eye for Nintendo was a new Mario Party game that had it has a save feature, it has online play, so they're definitely bringing Mario Party into the digital world. Mario Party Superstars launches on October 29th, so again aiming for that like late October time frame, kind of like how when Mario Odyssey came out, Super Mario Odyssey came out. So yeah, I think that's really fun. I'm trying to remember if the latest Mario Party game was a remaster or if this is the second Mario Party game of like the Switch's life cycle. I have the other Mario Party game, so I think it's a fun game to have and play with friends. So very much looking forward to that. Finally, Metroid fans have gotten what they want. Actually, they didn't get Metroid Prime 4, but they got a new 2D Metroid game coming to the Switch. This is the first. I was doing all the calculations this week. This is the first first original Metroid game in like a decade. What was it? No. First original non-portable Metroid game in a decade. Yeah, I had to put that in a report. So, but yeah, Metroid, hasn't seen a lot of love in quite some time, and most of that love has been exclusively for the portable consoles. So the fact that they've got this new 2D Metroid game coming this year, coming October 8th, got a lot of people excited. So I haven't played too many Metroid games or any. But the kind of stealth nature of this, the fact that you're like running away from the creature, like definitely piqued my interest. And I got to see what this Metroid is all about. So I'm looking forward to playing Metroid Dread later this year. A new WarioWare game. I kind of felt like this was coming, but it was kind of weird having both a Mario Party and a WarioWare game in the same showcase. WarioWare Get It Together launches also in September, so we're starting to fill out the later half of this year. But WarioWare, again, a nice fun party game with like micro games. Shouldn't take as long as like a Mario Party game does. So looking forward to playing WarioWare. Those were always super fun and super active and get people up and excited. So very, very fun playing WarioWare games. Looking forward to playing that later this year. Advanced Wars is getting a remaster and coming to the Switch. I was always super jealous of my friends who had Game Boy Advances and played Advanced Wars. But you know me, I love my turn-based strategy games. So I'm very much looking forward to Advanced Wars 1 and 2 remaster coming out December 3rd. Hyrule Warriors is also getting an expansion pack, so more DLC, more content for Hyrule Warriors, because I think that one, Age of Calamity, did very well. So they got to monetize that. Very excited for that. And then last but not least, for Nintendo, they had the Breath of the Wild 2. I think a lot of people were expecting this. They talked about gameplay. They talked about being on the same map as Breath of the Wild, but it would be more focused, or at least it won't be more focused, but a lot of stuff will be not the dimension that's being added is all the aerial stuff. A weird way to say it, but you'll be very much like in the air a lot of the time. Still playing on the same map. Yeah, they showed kind of, there were trailer breakdowns and all that kind of stuff, but just very much excited to see more Breath of the Wild. They didn't have a date attached to this, if I remember correctly. So we don't have to worry about that. Oh, it is 22, so it is coming next year. Fingers crossed that it's March, much like when Breath of the Wild 1 came out with the console in March. So hopefully it's a March launch and not something later in the year. But Breath of the Wild 2, very much looking forward to it. And again, I say Nintendo is probably the game of the show. They had a lot of stuff people were anticipating, a lot of revivals of old IP. So very much think that Nintendo was the winner, if there ever is a winner of E3. E3 also had some notable things missing. Of all the content we talked about, Ubisoft, going back through the list, Ubisoft didn't have Beyond Good and Evil 2. I didn't think we were going to get anything more on this, but there wasn't there. Also, we didn't see anything more for Skull and Bones, their pirate fighting, their pirate ship fighting game. Or not, I don't know if there's pirates involved, but their ship-to-ship combat fighting game was not also there. So the fact that we didn't see this, and that both of these games were at previous E3s, so yeah, just kind of curious what's going on there. Those are games that were also not at E3. Xbox had some noticeable missing titles as well. We didn't get anything more for Fable, even though we saw that last year. Although all we got was like a splash screen last year, so wasn't expecting too much on that. That game definitely looked like it's going to be in development for quite some time. It's probably going to launch sometime after Outer Wilds 2. So the fact that we didn't see that, the showcase started out with like Todd Howard and Pete Hines on the stage, so was expecting a lot from Bethesda. We got Starfield, so I think that's good enough. But after that, we know that Elder Scrolls 6 is behind that in line. We didn't get anything for Elder Scrolls 6. Also, Skyrim-esque kind of fantasy game, Avowed. We didn't see anything more for that coming out of Microsoft Showcase. We saw Perfect Dark last year at the Game Awards, but we didn't see anything this time around, so people are kind of curious what's going on with that. Microsoft also double dipped. They also had a breakdown with Paris, very cool influencer, someone that I follow on online. He led kind of a post E3 showcase, talking, getting more deep dives and talking to the developers. It was a really cool thing. He had Hellblade 2 on, so we did get to hear from Ninja Theory, but it wasn't really part of kind of the original showcase that was on Sunday. So, and that was just kind of like a, hey, we're in development. Here's kind of a behind the scenes dev diary thing. So I'm really anticipating Hellblade, but apparently I'm not going to get it this year. Otherwise, I think we would have gotten more announced there. Square, with all the Final Fantasy content they had, was really surprised to not see anything for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I know that we have Intergrade, which just feels like 1.5 again, which is really weird because it's a remake already. So yeah, but the fact that we haven't seen anything for Final Fantasy VII Part 2 kind of left us, wondering what's going on there. Final Fantasy 16, we saw that again at the Game Awards last year, but haven't seen it since. So what's going on with Final Fantasy 16? Like I made fun of at the beginning of when I was talking about Nintendo, we didn't see anything for Metroid Prime 4. We saw that last time we saw Metroid Prime 4 was like 2018, 2017 E3. So I know that the studio kind of scrapped it and restarted, so I know they're probably way behind, but we didn't see anything from Metroid Prime 4. We also didn't see Splatoon 3. I actually was going through the article talking about titles that were missing, and I was surprised because I could have swore I saw Splatoon 3 stuff, but nope, we haven't seen anything for Splatoon 3. Or at least nothing at E3 was Splatoon 3 related, so what's going on there? Other titles not associated with publishers that were part of E3, but we saw Mass Effect at the Game Awards, but haven't seen kind of what's coming next for Mass Effect. We also haven't seen anything about Dragon Age in quite some time. I don't think Dragon Age even at the Game Awards last year? Maybe they were. I don't quite remember, but we haven't seen anything on Dragon Age for quite some time. So also, going back to Nintendo, we didn't see anything about the Nintendo Pro. So what's going on with the Switch Pro? I think the fact that it wasn't at E3 means that it's not going to happen this year. Much like most of E3, a lot of it's been pushed to the year 2022. So maybe that's when we'll get a Switch Pro. A Switch Pro. So that was something that was also not talked about at E3. Stepping away from E3 for a second, saw a cool article this week talking about Among Us and Innersloth, talking about their kind of all the pressure that they're under, kind of the human effect of like having this kind of overnight success and how it takes a toll on the team. The team, which is like only 5 or 6 people, so I could definitely see where that toll sets in. I also think I've heard some criticism of like, hey, put the time in now, or put the time in now to while you can, because like you're not going to have this forever. But I enjoyed the article. I think it was a good read, so I'll have a link down below to the article just talking about kind of how the game started and what their journey's been, and I can definitely see that overnight success can be very hard to keep track of, and now all of a sudden people are wanting updates constantly, seeing more and more content, which is a good thing, but it also takes its toll on your small development team. So yeah, I think Among Us is I'm very excited for the kind of Among Us content that we've gotten over the past couple weeks, talking about 15-player games and bringing it to consoles. Like, all that is super exciting. But I assume, much like even the big teams and the big studios, it takes its toll kind of developing the stuff for for gamers. So that definitely they want their stuff and they want it now. So I can definitely see that kind of success and that drive taking its toll. So I thought it was a really cool piece. I'll have a link down below. Talking about Xbox double dipping, like I said in kind of the Paris, I'm calling it the Paris showcase, in Xbox's second showcase on Wednesday, the big thing I kind of got out of it, besides talking to a lot of the developers, which was really fun. Oh, Age of Empires 4 was at Bethesda, or was at the Xbox showcase. Very much looking forward to Age of Empires 4. One of the first two people that was interviewed for the showcase was the Age of Empires developers. So very excited about that game as well. But the one thing I did want to talk about was the fact that they're bringing back Xbox Design Lab. So Xbox always had the way you can customize your own controller, which is really cool, but it hadn't been updated for current gen consoles. So now you can make your own Xbox One X controller or Xbox One S controller with your own design on it. You can design like a lot of different features of it. And yeah, it's very exciting. So that was kind of the big thing I took away from the Paris showcase, as I'm calling it. Last but certainly not least, and not E3 related, but something I definitely wanted to talk about was happening this week, was The Medium, one of my favorite games for this year, one of my Game of the Year contenders. The Medium is no longer going to be exclusive. It's launching on PlayStation 5 September 3rd. Something I'm looking very much forward to get a lot of my PlayStation friends involved in the game. Definitely looking forward to it. Also, it probably is going to be my friend zone game, my video game review club game for September. So I'm going to hopefully force some of my friends to play that. We can talk about it because I'm very excited for it, and I'm glad that more people will be able to play it, and I can talk to more people about it. So whew, that is it for the week. There is E3 in a nutshell. If there's something I missed, if I missed anything from the PC Gamer Show, the Guerrilla Collective, or Verizon or Razer, leave it down below. We can still talk about it. So looking forward to hearing more about that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you had a super E3. I hope you have a super week. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!